And welcome. Yes, this is PLAR History and Geography here at WASA here in Silico. My name is Jonathan. I am your teacher for this course. Again, on my screen, you see the course study guide front page with the course syllabus. Again, it always outlines all the key information in regards to how you can get a hold of me or contact me. If you want to participate and listen to this lesson, you can radio in and call out 1-800-465-7144. That is 1-800-465-7144. Again, it has all my contact info. Again, feel free to contact me anytime during my office hours. Feel free to send me an email and feel free to add me as a friend on Facebook at JHoWasa. Yes, social media is important. That is why I have Facebook. I do not have Twitter or Instagram. However, if you do want me to have that, I can make that happen. But yes, I do have Facebook. Feel free to add me as a friend at JHoWasa. That way we can keep in contact. I can give you feedback and let you know how you're doing in regards to your assignments, and I can post your marks as an attachment on Facebook as well. Again, like always, I always do post all my lessons, including this one, onto my YouTube channel first thing tomorrow morning. So again, just type in JHoWasa, and you can always refer back to at any time on YouTube and listen again or watch all my lessons, including this one, including last week, including the week before that, or even in terms of what we talked about in terms of term 1A. So class, today we are still continuing looking at physical geography. We're gonna continue looking at different topics. We are at week 7. Okay, class, week 7. This is the start of week 7, which means yes, there is only 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks after this week until this term 1B, is over. Okay, so again, I highly recommend that everyone really work hard and try to complete all those assignments. That way you will be eligible to write the tests at the end of this term. Again, just remind all the students who are eligible to write the tests, you do have that chance. At any point, you can write that test if you're eligible. Again, just set up a time and a date at the Learning Center with your DEC. Then let me know. That way I can fax it or email your test over so that you can write it and be done with that. Okay, again, if you have any questions in regards to that, just let me know and I will help you out. Okay, so yes, today is Tuesday, January 12th, week 7. We have a couple topics that we need to go over today in terms of continuing with our lessons in terms of the geography portion in regards to lesson number 5 in terms of physical geography. So again, our learning goal for today is, all right, on the board, functional region. We have talked lots about what is a region and how do we define a region last week. So again, we're going to continue looking at that topic in regards to functional region today. We will also be looking at weather, how we can classify it, how we define it, and we'll be also looking at climate. 2 common words we use pretty much every day, weather and climate. But today, in today's lesson, we're going to define weather and climate and how these 2 words mean something completely different. Completely different. Then we'll be looking at trees. Oh yes, trees. Very exciting. How there are different types of trees and their common characteristics that they have in common. And lastly, our final learning goal for today is we'll be looking at Canada's ecozones. Canada's ecozones. Yes, here in Canada, this beautiful country of ours, we have tons and tons of ecozones, not just one or two, but numerous. We'll get to that when we cover Canada's ecozones. Okay? And finally, at the end of today's class, I will go over assignment 13 and those questions. Hopefully everyone will have a chance to look at those questions at the end of today's class. And hopefully I will clear up all any confusions and questions in regards to assignment 13. Are there any questions before we begin today's class? Again, our learning goal for today is functional region, weather and climate, trees, Canada's ecozones, and assignment 13. Again, if you're following along in your textbook, I'm on page 45, where it says functional regions. Yes, that's where we'll be getting today's class. Okay. Again, feel free to ask any questions at any point throughout my lessons. Again, feel free to write your answers on my screen as well. One second here. Just opening up my Bridget software. That way everyone can now see my smartboard screen. Okay. Again, are there any questions before we begin? Again, at any point throughout my lessons, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to jot down or write anything in regards to using this Bridget software. You can type with the Bridget software now that I have it open. Sorry about that. Or you can just simply listen as well. Okay? Alright, let's begin. So again, we're going to start off today's class by looking at functional regions. Again, nothing new here. Again, functional region is just another terminology that we need to define. Again, it will come up again in your assignment. It will ask you what is a functional region, so very important. So, in your textbook, it does define what is a functional region. It is defined as and often developed around anything around a center or a focal point. Okay, a functional region is basically anything that is a major landmark, or something that is centered around, or something that has a focal point. Okay, that is what a functional region is. Okay, hello Lillian, thank you for joining, Lillian. Okay, so a functional region, for example, could be Banff National Park. It could be Quebec Falls. Okay, it could be any park, for example, or any national park, or anything that's significant. Even a major city such as Toronto can be defined as a functional region, or the CN Tower in Toronto can be defined as a functional region. Something that's often developed around, something that's major, something that people take notice, has a focal point. Okay. So yes, we have talked lots about what is a region, how we define a region. Again, a region is something, it's an area that has common characteristics in common, but just expanding on that definition, we're looking at functional region. A functional region is an area that is functional, something that people use every day. It's big. People take notice of what it is. For example, on my screen, I have a picture of Banff National Park in Alberta. Okay, so any significant national park or also have Kekabeka Falls near just outside of Thunder Bay. Okay, it's another significant landmark or some place people go and visit, or for tourism, for example. Okay, so some facts I want to throw is that all national park and potential historical site will be free in 2017. Yes, so in 2017, not this year, but next year. Okay, next year will mark Canada's 150th anniversary, or Canada's birthday, of Confederation, where Canada became a nation on July 1st, 1867. So next year, in 2017, will mark Canada's 150th birthday. Pretty significant. As a result of that, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and the federal government has announced that all national park and potential historical site will now be free in 2017. With that being said, all national parks or functional regions in regards to national parks can now be visited by tourists or anybody for that matter, can be for free, which is significant because now everyone will have that chance and that opportunity to witness and see Canada's landmark or sites in nature that we have to offer, such as Banff National Park, which has tons and tons of beautiful mountains, trees, and lakes, such as Lake Louise. Okay, this is what a functional region is. Okay, so again, we're just expanding on our definition of what is a region. Functional region defines and often develop around a center or focal point. Okay. All right. Moving along to our next learning goal. Our next learning goal for today. Again, this is also on page 45 in your textbook, near the bottom. So climate, vegetation, and soil regions are defined by natural forces. These three types of regions, usually have the same boundaries. Okay, so we're talking about a region, an area. So that particular area, in terms of its climate, vegetation, and soil region, are often defined by natural forces. Again, these three types of regions usually have the same boundaries. Okay, and then it talks about climate and weather. This is where we're gonna switch our gear to. So on my smartboard screen, hopefully you can see this, I have a slide that I have created entitled The Difference Between Weather and Climate. Okay, the difference between weather and climate. Again, I have mentioned that you may have heard of this term weather. What's the weather like today? Or what's the climate like? Okay, these two words actually mean something completely different. Okay, something completely different. So if I look outside today right now out my window, yes, it is nighttime, it is in the evening, and it is very, very cold. Very, very cold than usual here in Suluco. Probably in the high -20s, feeling close to -30. So hopefully your car is plugged in if you're here in Suluco. Okay, so with that being said, in terms of weather, let's define weather. How do we define weather? What is weather? Okay, so weather is the day-to-day change in the atmospheric conditions. The day-to-day change in the atmospheric conditions. Condition of the air in a particular place on a particular date. Okay, in other words, what is it like outside on that particular day? Okay, what it is like outside? So weather could include temperature, it could be sunny outside, it could be cloudy, it could be raining, could be windy. Okay, so again, the weather outside right now here in Sulak It's definitely not sunny. It's definitely dark because it's in the evening time. Earlier this afternoon was fairly cloudy with a few breaks of sunny, but it's very, very cold. Very, very cold. So I do have a link here, and we can actually check out what's the weather like right now here in Silico. Okay, so when we're talking about weather, when we're talking about climate, when we're talking about weather, we're talking about what it is like on that particular day outside. Okay, so tomorrow could be something completely different. It could be plus 10 tomorrow. We don't know that. Okay, but we can check. So right now, class, here in Silico, overcast, minus 26, feeling more like minus 30. Yes, very, very cold. I highly recommend that everyone stay warm. Okay, the weather tomorrow, again, still very, very cold. Whereas predicts that it should be minus 20, feeling more like minus 26. Okay, this is what we define as weather. Is it cloudy? Is it sunny? Okay, is it clear? Is it raining? Is it windy? Okay, is it snowing? Okay, this is what we define as weather. The day-to-day change in the atmospheric condition. Okay, basically, when you look outside your window and you see if it's sunny, cloudy, windy, this is all example of what is weather. Again, it could change from hourly or daily as well. Okay, so just because today it's sunny, for example, doesn't mean that tomorrow could be sunny. Okay, so that is the weather. That's what's weather. So again, if I go back to our page, this is the weather in Silico. If I type in, for example, Waterman, if it even appears, yes, it does. So we check out Waterman Lake, for example, because I know that Lillian is from Waterman. So we look at the weather right now in Waterman. Very, very similar to here in Silica, where it's minus 23, feeling more like minus 31. And it's pretty cold consistently throughout the whole week. Similar to what we have here in Silico. Weather's probably slightly bit colder in Waterman compared to Silico. So this is what we define as weather. Okay, just some examples of weather. So now climate. Let's define climate and what that means. Okay, climate is the long-term pattern of the weather. Okay, the long range, whereas weather is short term. Okay, it's a short term weather. Climate is the long-term effect of weather. Okay, it could happen over decades or even centuries. Okay, climate is the average weather of an area. Okay, so here in Silico, we can define Silico as an area known as Northwestern Ontario. Yes, that could include pretty much all other communities we serve and offer here at WASA. It could be Casablanca, it could be Fort Seven, it could be Waterman, it could be Sandy Lake. All together, we define all those communities, for example, as Northwestern Ontario. This is an area where the climate is very, very similar. Okay, does that start to make sense? A region known as Northwestern Ontario, this area, this long-term pattern of this particular area is common. It does not describe any particular event or date. Okay, so it does not, like I said, it does not take into account what it's like each and every single day. It is a long-range term pattern. Okay, so we know that in wintertime here in Northwestern Ontario, it is very, very cold. Sorry. And we have lots of snow and cold freezing temperature. Okay, that is the difference between weather and climate. Okay, weather is like the short-term pattern on a daily basis, but each day could be something different. Whereas climate is a long-range term pattern on a particular area. Okay, so I have on my screen again a couple examples of short-term conditions and long-term conditions. Yes, short-term could be means weather, and any long-term effect means climate. Okay, so I have some examples on my screen just to deepen further understanding. So if I say, for example, it is 13 degrees today, which is not true, obviously. If I said that it is 13 degrees today, I'm referring to that as weather. Okay, so I'm talking about today. This is an example of weather. Whereas if I said that the Sahara Desert is hot and dry, am I talking about weather or am I talking about climate? The Sahara Desert is hot and dry. Yes, I'm talking about climate. Okay, because as we know, the climate in the Sahara Desert is often hot and dry. Okay, this is the long-term effect, long-term pattern. Okay. Another example on my screen is that there is a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. And if I said that, if there's a 30% chance of rain tomorrow, am I talking about weather or am I talking about climate? Weather or climate? If you said weather, you are correct. Again, we're talking about the conditions on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, polar bear thrives in the Arctic. Polar bear thrives in the Arctic. Is that weather or is that climate? Well, we all know that the Arctic is very, very cold on a long range term pattern, and polar bear like to live in the Arctic in a cold temperature. That is climate. You have said climate. Okay? So again, this is the difference between weather and climate. Okay? Short-term, long-term effect is how I like to define it, and I like how I like to remember it. Okay? Again, there will be a question on assignment 13 in regards to what is weather and climate. Okay? So again, you must be able to define what is weather, what is climate, and note that they mean something completely different. Okay? Again, in your textbook, it does explain what it is. Okay, so again, feel free to, and again, do recommend that everyone go back to your textbook and do read your textbook, okay? Any questions so far about what is a functional region or what is the difference between weather and climate? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions, Lillian? Can you hear me over there in Waterman? All right, good stuff. Okay, so we are going to continue on with our next learning goal. Our next learning goal. Oh yes, that is trees. Yes, trees. Very, very exciting trees. But more specifically, we're going to talk about different types of trees. There are two different types of trees that we are going to focus on, that we are going to explore and learn today. Okay, one, coniferous trees, and two, deciduous tree. Okay, coniferous and deciduous. Deciduous. Okay, these are the two types of trees that we are going to talk about right now. Right now. Again, class, please note, again, there's lots of definitions in terms of geography. Okay, lots of different terminologies that we need to define or be able to define and explain. Okay, so let's look at what is a coniferous tree or a coniferous forest. Okay, so on my screen, I wrote down that a coniferous tree or forest have cones. Okay, So if you see a pine cone, for example, okay, that indicates that that pine cone came from a coniferous tree. Okay, or any tree that has needles-like leaves, not actual leaves, but kind of like needles. Okay, note from my illustration. Note from my illustration. Okay, if a tree has these kinds of spikes and these needles, these pointy things, leaves, it is a coniferous tree. Coniferous tree. Okay, it could have cones or needle-like leaves. These seeds that produce cones right here. These cones or pine cone. A coniferous tree often like to grow in cold temperature or can grow in cold temperature. We'll get to more of that in a second. So for example, some examples of a coniferous tree can be and are not limited to, I have a cedar tree, a pine tree, a spruce tree. These are some examples of a coniferous tree. Okay, there are more types of coniferous tree. The textbook does explain a bit more. But again, any example, any trees that are a cedar tree, a pine tree, or a spruce tree are example of a coniferous tree. Again, really simple to remember. Any tree that has spikes or cones or needle-like leaves are a coniferous tree. Other facts about coniferous tree. These trees stay green all year long. Yes, all these trees, these coniferous trees, stay green all year long. They are often known as evergreen trees. Okay, you may have heard of that where people say, "Oh, that is an evergreen tree." Why? Because it often stays green all year long. And a coniferous tree is an evergreen tree. They do grow in warm summer temperature. However, they do thrive on cool, cold, long, harsh winters. Why? Because these trees are often found in the northern hemisphere in the world. They're also called boreal forests. Okay, these are also called boreal forests. These needle-like leaves have a waxy outer coat which protects water loss in freezing cold temperature. That is why these trees do not die, for example, when it's minus 30 outside. Again, these coniferous trees often have soft wood which can survive in cold temperature. Again, some examples are a cypress tree, a cedar tree, redwood. Again, my screen I have pine tree, spruce tree, and these trees, for example, can grow up to 20 meters in height. Okay, 20 meters in height. Very, very tall. Very, very tall, these coniferous trees. Okay. Again, class, please just note some of the common characteristics of a coniferous tree. Again, we will be needing to define what is a coniferous tree on your next assignment. So again, like leaves, cold temperature, some good common characteristics of a coniferous tree. Coniferous tree. Okay. Questions? Questions? Does anyone remember our second type of tree? What's our second type of tree? Anyone? Our second type of tree? Tree number one was coniferous tree. And tree number two is yes. Oh yes. If you said it was a deciduous tree, you are correct. Yes, which is what we're going to talk about right now. Which is different from a coniferous tree. A deciduous tree. A deciduous tree often shreds its leaves in the fall time. So when it's fall, autumn, close to Halloween, when we move away from summer, And after summer comes fall. As a result, all these trees start to change color from its bright green to this orange brownish color, and these leaves often fall to the ground. Okay, so again, if you're walking along the street or in your community and you see all these leaves, especially in the fall time, on the ground, these leaves right here came from a tree that we like to be classified as a deciduous tree. Okay, they grow in hot summer but have short winters for these trees. They cannot survive in wintertime. Okay, they need good fertile soil to grow. However, these trees are often now limited. Okay, only a few of these trees now exist as a result because these trees often grow in big populated warm area. And as a result of that, in highly populated urban areas, people wipe out the land or clear cutting, deforestation, urban developments, okay, where cities now expand, towns expand by building more homes. As a result, we chop down and cut down these trees. As a result, only a few of these deciduous trees now remain. Okay, again on my screen I have examples of any trees that are a maple tree, an oak tree, a birch tree. These are examples of a deciduous tree. Okay, some of these samples of deciduous trees. Again, deciduous trees often found in tropical and subtropical region. They do need a lot of rainfall in these particular areas for these deciduous trees. Again, any region that has 4 seasons, so summer, fall, winter, spring, can repeat the cycle. Okay, any area or region that has 4 seasons often have deciduous trees. Again, these trees change color. These leaves fall to the ground. Okay, animals need to adapt to the climate in terms of camouflage or hibernation when the seasons change. And again, lots of these lands are now being lost due to farming, urban cities and towns development, clear cutting, and deforestation. As a result, even animals lose their habitat as a result when these deciduous trees are now gone. Hence why, if you recall from last week's class, where we talked about protection, conservation, and the biosphere reserve, yes, that comes a big play in terms of protecting our forests in regards to deciduous trees. We need to protect these trees. We need to plant more of these trees so that these trees are not lost. Because trees, in terms of geography, in terms of us as human, are very significant. Very, very significant. We'll see more as we progress throughout this term of why trees and human are very, very significant. Okay? But yes, again, you will need to define class. Yes, what is a deciduous tree? Okay, again, common characteristics. Leaves fall to the ground. Few remains. Growing all 4 seasons. Okay. Coniferous tree. Deciduous tree. Okay, these two trees we need to be able to define. Okay, again, deciduous tree, coniferous tree. Coniferous, cones, needle-like leaves, thrives in cold temperature. Deciduous, leaves fall to the ground, changes color. Only few remains. Okay? That wasn't so bad, right, class? Wasn't so bad. Talk about trees. Wasn't so bad. Pretty interesting facts about our types of trees that we have here in Canada. Coniferous and deciduous. Okay. Are there any questions? Any questions before we move on to our last learning goal for today, which is in a way a big one. In a way a big one. Any questions, comments right now? Again, if anything that doesn't make sense, just let me know. Just ask. Okay, you can ask right now, or you can ask via email, Facebook, old school way by phone call during my office hours, okay? Again, if I'm not there during my office hours, feel free to leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, okay? Okay. Our last learning goal for today. Oh, again, yep. Again, pictures of trees. We've already seen those trees. But yes, our last learning goal for today. What are ecozones? Ecozones. Kind of again, we're expanding our knowledge and further understanding of what is a region. Okay? What is an ecozone? An ecozone have one main characteristics in common. It could be vegetation, it could be population. Again, we're always talking about a particular area or region with common characteristics. An ecozone may have more than one defining factor, which means that it could have more than one main factor. Okay, for example. Okay, an ecozone is defined as any natural features and human activities in a particular area. Okay. Yes, we're now bringing in our knowledge about human geography. So we're talking about an ecozone. We're talking about an area, a region that has human activities. So it could be cities, people working, and natural features. So trees, animals, plants, okay, all come into play. Or in other words, any area that has living species. Could be plants, animals, human. Okay, this is an ecozone. Okay, ecozone. Okay, we're bringing in natural features and human activities together in a particular area. Okay, very important. Natural features and human activities. Okay, we're not talking about one particular human events or an area with trees. Okay, we're talking about an ecozone that has natural features and human activities. Here in Canada, here in Canada, again, I talked about this at earlier in today's lesson where Canada has tons, and I mean tons of ecozones. Okay? From my slide, you can see that Canada has 15. Yes, wow, 15 land-based ecozone and 5 marine-based ecozone. Okay, and all together, here in Canada, we're talking about land and the sea base or water base. We have 20 different ecozones here in Canada. 20 different ecozones here in Canada. If I move on to my next slide, you can see 2 different maps of Canada. One is marine-based ecozone, okay, which means that any that's produced by water, ocean, or sea. Okay, and I have another map here on my left where it says terrestrial ecozone. In other words, a land base. Land base, or anything found on Earth or the land. Okay, so all together, these are all the different ecozones here we have in Canada. Again, we have 15 land base across Canada and 5 marine base water, ocean, sea ecozone. Okay. Again, class, don't feel overwhelmed. You do have this map in your textbook. Okay, I did provide another link if you want additional information on Canada ecozones, or just type in ecozones on Google, ecozones.ca. Okay. Again, don't feel overwhelmed. There are lots of different ecozones. However, I do not expect everyone to know all of Canada's different ecozones. There are just too many. There are just too many. Okay, they're just too many. However, I want the class to focus on some. Okay, I'm not going to sit here right now, okay, class, and talk about all 15 different land-based ecozone and all marine, 5 of them, marine-based ecozones that we here have in Canada, because we just don't have enough time, and I don't expect everyone to know all common characteristics of each. However, like I said, I do need everyone to pick a few, maybe 1 or 2 from each, probably 2 from each, okay, that you need to really focus on. So this is your chance, class, to pick any 4 ecozones that you want to talk about, because there will be a question on assignment 13 that asks you to explain or pick any 4 ecozones and explain them. Okay? So, when choosing your ecozone, okay, class, when choosing your ecozone, you must know 5 different things. 5 different things. Its name, where it's located, or its location. Okay, so I must know the name of that ecozone. I must be able to define where it's located. So again, it could be, for example, it could be like, oh, it's located in Ontario, in Quebec, or it could be located in all Western Canada, or in Alberta and Saskatchewan. That's what I'm talking about when in terms of location. You must be able to define the climate in that ecozone, whether it's hot, cold. Okay. You must be able to tell me different types of animals in that ecozones. Okay, so what kind of animals live in that ecozones? Okay, and lastly, human interference. In other words, how have us as people, as humans, impacted or has affected that particular area or that ecozone? Okay, again, there are 5 different areas. Its name, its location, the climate, types of animals, and human interference. Okay, so right now I'm going to talk about a few of these ecozones. Okay, you can use these ecozones when answer the questions in your assignments, or you can pick your own ecozone that you think or may found interesting. Okay, again, this is the chance for class to explore and choose which ecozone that they like to answer. I have here one particular ecozone here in Canada, the Burl Shield. Burl Shield. Okay, if you look at our legend right here on the side, the Burl Shield is ended as green, so the Burl Shield is ended in this green area. Okay, so the Burl Shield is from Alberta. It starts from Alberta and stretches all the way to Newfoundland. Okay, and then that's dark green on this map. It is the largest ecozone here in Canada. In terms of its weather in this particular green area, this Burl Shield area, has short warm summer, cold winter. Okay, it has lots of forests and trees such as spruce tree, pine tree, birch tree. So lots of trees, lots of forests in this particular ecozone. In terms of different animals in this ecozone of the World Shield, we have deer, black bear, raccoons, owls, and also lots of fresh lakes, tons of lakes, tons of lakes. Okay, these are just some examples, some common characteristics of the World Shield. In terms of human interference, how we use this particular ecozone or how we impacted this ecozone is that there's lots of transportation, okay, as it stretches from western Canada to eastern Canada. So transportation is a significant factor. Fishing, because we do have tons of lakes, especially here in Silicon. Yes, Silicon is a part of the Boreal Shield, and lots of our communities that we serve are located in the Boreal Shield. So, and a lot of outdoor activities. Okay, a lot of outdoor activities take place in this particular ecozone. Okay, this is how human activities and natural features go together. That's how we use this particular land to please our needs, for example. Okay? Again, in your textbook, it does explain all 15 different ecozones. Okay? Let's move on to the next one that I have decided to pick here. So, another land-based ecozone known as the Hudson Plains. Hudson Plains. Again, you can see from my legend, Hudson Plain is right here, a yellowish colors. And I think that's pretty much northern Ontario and northern Manitoba. That is known as the Hudson Plain Ecozone. Okay, and parts of northern Quebec. Okay, northern Ontario, parts of Manitoba, and parts of Quebec is known as the Hudson Plains. As a result of this physical area where it's located in northern Ontario, we know that's very, very cold. As a result, it has vegetation which is very limited. Okay, not many things grow here. Okay, not many trees either. Okay, very, very cold in terms of its temperature. Very, very cold, long cold seasons. There's blueberries, which is great. There's white trees, which is great. In terms of animals, geese, moose, bears, for example, are in this ecozone of the Hudson Plains, and we have wetlands. In terms of human interference, we have limited population, so this is very, very cold in this particular area. This is an example of the Hudson Plains ecozones. Okay. Okay, let's talk about. I'm gonna talk about one particular marine-based ecozone, the Pacific marine-based ecozone. Okay, again, over on my legend, west coast, off the coast of BC, Pacific Marine Base, BC coast, has rich, diverse ocean communities. As a result, it has lots of different aquatic marine mammals, animals, so seal, otters, whales. There's lots of fishing, tourism, water activities. In terms of human interference in this marine-based ecozone, we damage this particular ecozone due to overfishing, the population, and habitat destruction. Okay. So yes, there's lots of animals in this particular marine-based water, but we do damage it in terms of human interference as a result in overfishing and population. Okay. Again, this is just an example of a Pacific marine ecozone. Again, I'm not gonna go through all the different type of ecozones. Again, all of it is outlined in your textbook. Okay. So again, I'm gonna have some different illustration that further explains Canada's ecozone. So again, note different types of animals we have. Polar bears, birds. Okay, some areas in Canada has tons of snow all the time. We have icebergs. We have people doing explorations. Okay. If it continues, okay, Canada's very diverse. Okay, this again is 15 land-based and 5 marine-based. Okay, note the mountains, the snow, the lakes, the grass with no trees, all the different types of animals we have, birds, a bison, a buffalo, a bear. Okay, note the trees, the rocks, the Canadian Shield we talked about, all the different types of forests we have, in particular ecozone. Okay, different trees as well. Okay, this is just examples of how diverse our ecozones are. And here, a picture of the prairies. Okay, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, very, very flat. Not many things going on over there. Mountains, West Coast. Okay, as we move towards Ontario and Quebec, again, lots of forests, and deer, Bambi right there, geese. Okay, lots of different animals. Okay, people canoeing, different activities, moose, deer. Okay, and as we progress slower, okay, we got cities, Toronto, Ottawa. Okay, very rich, very diverse in terms of our eco zones we have in Canada. Okay, more picture on marine base. Okay, note again all the different aquatic mammals we have: whales, dolphins, birds, people fishing, people sightseeing, people on boats. Okay, seafood we have on the East Coast. Okay, lots of lots of diversity we have. Okay, and we're almost running out of time, so I'm kind of quickly speeding things up. But let's get to questions on assignment 13 so that everyone has an understanding as to what to expect. Assignment 13 out of 23 marks. Pretty straightforward for the most part. Question number 1, what is a functional region? What is a functional region? Talked about it very first slide. Then define what it is. Tell me what it is. Question number 2, explain what is it meant by the term weather and the term climate. So you need to tell me what it means in terms of what is weather and what is climate, and include why these terms mean something different. Okay, don't just define what is weather and what is climate, but then again, tell me why they mean something different. Okay, why they mean something different. Okay, weather, climate, why it means something different. Question number 2. Question number 3, what are the characteristics of a coniferous tree? Okay, what are some of the common characteristics? What does a coniferous tree have? Okay, question number 4, what are characteristics of a deciduous tree? Same idea right here. Tell me some of its common characteristics. What a deciduous tree look like? What do they do? Where do they grow, for example? Okay. Question number 5. What is an ecozone? Again, you're just going to tell me, explain it to me. What is an ecozone? Okay, just define it. And last question. You see this chart. You see this chart. Where, again, you need to pick 4 different ecozones and fill in the chart. Okay, any 4. Okay, it could be all land-based. It could be all marine-based. It could be some of the ecozones that I have talked about. Okay, feel free to use those example again, or you can, again, this is your chance to explore and pick any 4 ecozones that you want. Okay, you need to tell me its name. What is the name of that ecozone? Where is that ecozone located? So in which provinces? Its land formations. Does it have mountains, rocks, hills, trees? What kind of landform does it have? Okay. Its climate. Is it hot, cold? Does it snow a lot? What is the climate like in that particular ecozone? Could be long winter, short summer. Okay. Then tell me some of the animals that live in that ecozone. Some animals. Bear, deer, this bird, that bird, a whale. Okay. And human interference. How has we as human impacted that ecozone. Okay, some ecozone may have no human interference. Okay, which means that there's not much human life going on, so there's no human interference. Okay, or some do. For example, pollution, overfishing, etc. Okay. Okay, so that is assignment 13. I know I kind of quickly went over in the last few slides of this lesson. Okay, apologize for that. I will go over assignment 13 again on Thursdays when we have more time, and I will go over these questions again one more time on Thursday. That way, everyone has a good chance as to what to expect for assignment 13 and ask questions as well. Okay. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns right now before we call it a night? Again, lots of information again here tonight, but again, a lot of it is just defining and explaining what it is. Okay? Any questions, comments, concerns? Again, I know I kind of speed things up in the last couple slides. Apologize for that. Again, I will upload this lesson onto my YouTube channel. Yeah, YouTube channel. I will post a link on my Facebook page as well. Again, if you have any difficulties with your assignments at any point, any time, just let me know. I'm only one email, call, or message away. Okay? I'm here to help. Always remember that. Okay? Again, any last questions, comments, concerns before we wrap things up? Again, I want to thank everyone that has been participating and that has been listening. You guys have been great. Other than that, thank you so much. Everyone have a great night. And I'll see everyone on Thursday. Thank you for joining.